Okay, welcome back, dear viewers, to my deep dive into Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Um, I've previously gone through the main rule book, character creation, combat, encounters, and now I'm just kind of going through magic for Lamentations of the Flame Princess because magic, in my opinion, has a very special sort of place in I'm going to use the word cosmology of Lamentations of the Flame Princess. It's weird, it's horrific, and while like the main rulebook has Vancian style magic in it, there are a lot of supplements out there that allow you to sort of expand on what's available to your players in your campaigns. And that's what we're doing today. Today we're going to talk about 6x6x6 The Mayhemic Misssile Method by Ezra Claverie. I hope I pronounced that last name correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. Uh, Missile is purposely spelled that way, just FYI. I know I have a tendency to do typos. This one isn't it. Okay. Um, but before I go on, for those of you new to my channel, what I do is I play games, I record games, I talk about those games, and I talk about the rule sets and the modules that I've used. All due respect to the Flip Through Review channels, they do nothing for me. I want to know if you've played it, and I want to know if it's fun, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So if you like actual plays, or if you like what I'm doing, like this sort of commentary, hit like, subscribe, bell icon, yada yada yada, and you know I appreciate it because I'm hoping to expand in the following year. So, without further ado, so what is 6x6x6? It is a magic supplement, one of many, in the Lamentations of the Flame Princess product line. It is all about one spell, the most ubiquitous of magic spells in all of the world's most popular role playing game, the Magic Missile. I think that has made its way into almost every single iteration of the game, with the exception of a notable exception, I should add, of Lion and Dragon by RPG Pundit, uh, which I'll address later. But yeah, Magic Missiles, like, I know the big joke is fireball, 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 but I think, you know, Magic Missile is the almost like the holdout pistol for magic users. It's pretty reliable, and it's everywhere. So, oh, and I wanted to talk about this as well because one of the players in my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign likes his magic missile spell, so I thought I'd drop this spell book uh, in the campaign to give him a ton of options and have some fun with it if he wants. You know, he might not want to. It's completely up to him. But that's why I'm talking about it today. It's an option for spellcasters, and it's a pretty nifty one. Hopefully, it'll make more appearances in my actual play. So, why Magic Missile? Why did this book come into being? Well, when you look at the Lamentations of Flame Princess rulebook, it describes Magic Missile in part as unique in appearance and always looks the same. Each different signature for a magic missile must be researched and or transcribed as if it were a different spell. So in my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign, Malthus, the player who plays Malthus, he's flaming, screaming skulls. That's what he shoots. Okay, um, the if someone wanted to fire those magic missiles, they'd have to one steal his spell book and then research it. Okay, if someone just used a standard golden arrow that you may recall from the original red box set that Bargle used to slay Alina, that still sticks in my craw, by the way. You'd have to research that. Okay, so and what's interesting here is it's a highly individualized spell that on its face is kind of mundane. Uh, it adds to that sort of idea that magic in Lamentations is a very artistic, not scientific, artistic endeavor. But we don't get a whole lot with that. It's just, window dressing. 666 elaborates on this. 666 gives you, the game master, referee, dungeon master, or player, a whole host of options to use to make your magic missiles a little more unique, not just cosmetically, but mechanically as well. So how does it work? Well, there's what I call the defensive magic option. Basically, magic missile still takes up a level 1 spell slot, but you may at any time convert any other spell that you have prepared of any level into a magic missile from his or her repertoire. So if you have a 3rd level spell slot and you're out of combat spells, not that there are many, you could convert that 3rd level spell into a magic missile that you have in your spell book to use. Okay, that does come with a price though. So this is, for those of you who've played the 5th edition game, it almost feels like what a sorcerer can do, almost feels like what a warlock can do, which I like. I think, again, it's an option. However, it comes with a price. So any damage you roll with that spell is limited to the lower half of the die range. Anything above that is going to be ignored. So if it's a d6 damage, anything rolled 4, 5, or 6 is going to be ignored. The most you can do is 1, 2, or 3. And we'll talk more about that soon. So this book and all the magic missiles in it assume the caster has a normal human anatomy. If one of the spells noted in this book requires a particular body part, like teeth, for example, you must have it. So if your spellcaster for some reason lost all their teeth, maybe due to a curse or something, or maybe you have a particular brutal referee who said you got your teeth smashed out in a bar fight, and you have one of the magic missiles in here that require the caster to use their teeth to fire the magic missile, you won't be able to cast that spell. You won't be able to cast that version of magic missile. Okay. Similarly, if there's anything else about your character that's not available in this spell description, you won't be able to cast it. So you've got to have those requirements available. And I'll get into that very soon. Unless, here's the interesting thing. So we all know magic missile, generally speaking, you pop up a bunch depending on your level, and then you can target different people. That's the standard spell. Some of these versions will target only a single target. So if the description of the spell explicitly says it affects a single target, then the caster with multiple damage dice may designate multiple targets, allocating the dice among them before rolling. Each target can make a saving throw versus magic to suffer only half damage. Now, as you can see, we're starting to deviate from the classic magic missile conception. Okay. And then some missiles will have special effects if directed at a single target. Okay. There are 6 methods to calculate damage, and you treat each method as a different spell. So, using Malthus Balefire from my campaign as an example, I literally gave him this entire book as in character. So, like, he has a new spell book. And Ezra Claverie is now a magic user in my campaign, some long dead magic user. Okay, and he could pop open this book and memorize whatever he wanted, but he can't change it on a whim. He can't go from method 1 to method 6. He has to tell me, I'm memorizing method 4 with this ability, and that's what he's got memorized. Okay. And yes, you're going to have to conduct research or steal it or whatever to learn the spell under a new method. So, method 1 is the classic damage for Magic Missile and Lamentations. 1d4 damage per caster level. So a 5th level caster has 5d4 damage dice. You don't need to roll a hit. There's no chance of misfire, and you can divide damage dice amongst targets. Pretty straightforward. That's Magic Missile. Okay. Method 2. Caster level +1 times 1d4 damage. So if that same 5th level magic user now has 6d4. Okay. However, if the missile description allows for multiple targets, then every target beyond the first costs 1 from the pool. Thus our 5th level would have 6 dice, 5 dice to divide against 2, 4 dice against 3, etc., etc. Okay. So it's a pretty powerful spell against one single target. Becomes significantly weaker once you have multiple targets. Method 3 is 1d6 plus 1d4 at first level. So that's at first level, there's 2 missiles popping out, which is more powerful than your classic magic missile. And you can allocate them, but there's no advancement. This is all it does. 2 dice. That's it. Okay. Method 4 is 1d12 plus caster level and damage. So now we have just one major missile. Okay. Single target. If you roll a natural 12, the caster's going to have to save versus spell. On a failure, there's a backfire, there's a misfire of sorts, and the caster suffers half damage rolled. If you sacrifice the spell to cast this, again, you sacrifice the 3rd level spell to use this method. The magic user takes half damage on the 12 while the target suffers none. Method 5, 1d10 at first level, and then a second missile, 1d8 at second, and 1d6 at 3rd level. And then there's no increase after that. Okay, so you got 3 dice, potentially 3 targets. However, if you roll doubles on the damage dice, you have a misfire. The 2 dice cancel each other out. If you have 3 dice, at 3rd level or higher, all 3 roll the same dice, the target still takes that 3rd die of damage. However, the triples do indicate a backfire, in which case magic user or elf has to take save or take damage. On a successful save, the spell just fizzles. Any backfire damage that exceeds hit points is suffered by companions, starting with the closest. This could be potentially devastating. If a spell is converted to cast this method and there is a backfire, the damage is only on the lower half of the dice. So that's kind of nice. This might be one to kind of keep in your back pocket for those desperate sort of fights. And then method 6, 1d8 at first level, 1d6 at second level, 1d4 at third, and then +1 per level thereafter. Before you roll damage, you have to assign a +1, your +1s to each dice before rolling. So consider that +1 like an extra pool. So if you have a 5th level magic user, you're going to have a d8, a d6, a d4, and a +2. You could add both pluses to the d4, or you can split those up. Okay. If the missile description allows for multiple targets, target gets a save for half damage, and on a success, the spell backfires, requiring the magic user to save for half damage. If the spell is converted to cast this method and there is a backfire, the magic user takes the damage rolled anywhere on the die. So you don't get the benefit of the limiting factor of the lower half. So this could also be devastating on a backfire for your magic user. Okay. There's more. Okay. So there is a D666 chart in the book. The rest of the book is essentially a whole host of things that you can do with Magic Missile. Okay. And there's 3 ways to figure it out if you want to randomly determine what Magic Missile the player finds on a scroll. You can use a random number generator. You can roll 3 6-sided dice and line them up. Hundreds, tens, single space, and then you can roll 3 6-sided dice, treating 6s as zeros to generate a base 6 numeral, convert this to base 10, and then find the number in the missillary. I prefer the middle one, roll 3d6. It's easy, it's more fun that way, in my opinion, because you're rolling dice, and you're rolling a d666. I mean, that's kind of badass, isn't it? I think it is. Okay. And then, like I said, here's an example of one of the effects, potential missiles. Referring the missiles may require some adjudication. So, looking at awakening to carnal quiddity. All right, so it's a 12 if you're randomly determining it using a random number generator, okay? Or it's a roll of a 1, 2, 6 on a D666 roll, okay? And then, as you can see, the target's real with a sickening sense of oneness with a demiurgic being lurking behind all life, which blinds them to light and opens their sight to darkness. Those who survive this awakening can recover hit points normally, but anything reduced to 0 hit points unravels into a heap of veins, nerve-like hairs, or hair-like nerves, and drooling mouths. Eyeless, it nevertheless drags itself towards the nearest darkness where it will rot. This missile has no effect on targets not made of flesh. So, what does that exactly mean? Well, how I would adjudicate that is if the target is reduced to 0 or -1 or -2 hit points, it's dead. It's just dead. Um, and if you recall from the healings chapter of Lamentations, it's possible to come back from through medical care, having a -1, -2 hit points, having 0. This would just outright kill the player, okay, or the target, I should say. So there's going to be things like that you're going to have to adjudicate, and we all know players. They might try to rules lawyer you a little bit. That's fine. It's a game, but just be aware that, like a lot of Lamentations stuff, it's open to interpretations. Now, I'm not 100. My interpretation of the book as a whole, each D666 entry is a different spell. Okay, so if you think about it, there are. I'm gonna do the math here real quick. And I beg your pardon. I am not a math guy, and I don't. I think it's 216 to the 6th power, maybe. Uh, there are what appears to be. Okay, I did that wrong. 216 times 216 times 216 times 216 times 216. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's uh, an ungodly number of spells in this book. It's huge. Okay, if you really think about it. What I've seen people do, and what I did actually in an encounter, just because every time a spell from this book is cast, I just rolled randomly for the effect. Um, that'll be up to you what you want to do. I might actually allow for both. I don't know. I'm still got to figure that out. But I think the randomness of it might make it fun and kind of gonzo for your players. But if they want to have some semblance of control over what magic missile they cast, like I said, there is just an ungodly number of potential magic missiles in this book. So, yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. Okay, so why do I like this book? I do like this book, and I think you should pick it up. I think it's worth picking up. It provides options to magic users and elves or any other spellcasting class in Lamentations of the Flame Princess or OSR play. I've written about this in my blog, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, where I think one of the biggest hurdles for OSR play, well, converting players from the more contemporary versions of the game to OSR, is the lack of options, player options. Players like the game within the game, and that is the optimization, that sort of competition amongst themselves to see who can do the most damage or do the craziest thing or this, that, and the other thing. And it's just a fact of life. I don't fight it. It is what it is. But I think if you're going to try to bring people from 5th edition or Pathfinder or any other crunchy game with all these player options, you need to provide something. And I think this book does that. And it does it in such a way that it remains consistent with OSR design philosophy. So I like that. I like this book for that reason alone. Okay. On a practical level, Lamentations has a limited number of combat spells. This is going to make your magic user or elf spellcaster, a little more versatile and a little bit more powerful in combat, depending on what they want to do. But as you can see, they're going to be a liability as well. Um, I also like this is because it makes Magic Missile weird, horrific, and unpredictable, as Magic should be. Um, I mean, Magic Missile from like Beckby days or AD&D days is kind of boring. I mean, I think a lot of us house ruled the idea that you can sort of individualize it, but it's just a boring little spell that does 1d4 damage, or maybe 1d4 plus 1, depending on what edition of the game you're playing. It is reliable, but it's kind of boring. This makes it really cool. This book makes Magic Missile really, really cool, and I think it actually makes up for the fact that there's no Fireball or Lightning Bolt in Lamentations. Um, and now, also, this book could also be just a resource for game masters who might be looking for ideas for traps, for magic items, weird effects. I mean, like I said, there's 216 magic missile effects in here. And it's just a really nice list of stuff that you can use. So I think this book is actually quite versatile in and of itself. There's a review by RPG Pundit recently on this book. He says it achieved what it was set out to do, but I sort of feel like he missed the point of it as a book of player options, and I don't think he really thought too deeply about what this could do for game masters as well. So, all due respect, I'm going to disagree with Pundit on this. I think it's not just some niche book. I think it can be useful to you. Not all referees and game masters are super creative. Like I said, there's an entire list of stuff for you to use in here. And even for the creative, I almost said magic user, even the creative game master, this will be a wonderful option for your players to use. And or you to use for your villains who are casting Magic Missile, you know. So anyway, $64,000 question. Buy this book. It's totally worth it. I think it's great. The layout's nice. It's a beautiful book. It's purple with gold lettering on the front. It's kind of like that. I think the velvet cover there. Really nice book. I'm glad I picked it up, and I think you will. You'll enjoy it too. You can find a physical copy at there's the typo. LOTFP.com, and you get a PDF on Drivethrue. At the very least, pick up the PDF. Anyway, that's all I got for today. I appreciate you coming. Listen, this Saturday, I'm going to do another review. I'm not exactly sure what yet. And I'll be recording a one-shot of Midwinter by Kelvin Green. And then, of course, on Thursdays is my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign. That's still going pretty strong. All right. Take it easy, everyone.